The golden age of the Neolithic dawn, where 50,000 souls gathered in a grand metropolis, mirroring the dense, towering concrete jungles we inhabit today. We celebrate our monumental architecture and endless crowds, just as our ancestors reveled in their vast harvest festivals. They built mountains of grain, an illusion of absolute security, believing they had forever conquered the wild forces of nature. But biology is a patient, unforgiving observer, waiting for the perfect moment to strike our fragile towers. In the blink of an eye, the ancient symphony of life was brutally silenced by an invisible, creeping tide. Half of a massive continent simply vanished into the earth, leaving behind empty hearths and desperately unanswered prayers. A deafening silence settled over the ruined, shadowed world, hiding a dark secret that would sleep for 5,000 years. In the frozen winds of modern Latvia, a young man draws his final, ragged breath. His frame was built for survival, a masterpiece of primal strength, yet he collapses, defeated by an enemy he cannot even see. Thousands of kilometers away, across the gray expanse of the Baltic Sea, in what is now Sweden, a woman shudders in the exact same rhythmic agony. Two strangers, separated by vast forests and treacherous waters, sharing a synchronized death sentence that defies all logic. No trade routes connected them. No physical touch passed between them, yet the same fire burns in their lungs. The same darkness takes their eyes. Their bodies tell a story of an impossible, continent-wide execution, a massacre conducted with surgical, invisible precision. For millennia, they remained frozen in their final, desperate poses, guarding the truth within the hollow chambers of their own teeth. A secret written in the very ink of their biological code, waiting for us to find the monster hiding in their blood. We know this invisible monster today as the Black Death, the medieval terror that claimed countless lives centuries later. But the teeth of the fallen prove it had been hunting us 5,000 years before castles or kingdoms ever existed. How did it spread across a primitive world without trade routes? The answer lies in humanity's greatest early triumph, the invention of agriculture and the hoarding of vast wealth. Mountains of golden wheat filled massive clay storehouses, a symbol of survival, meant to outlast the harshest winters. But this very accumulation was an evolutionary trap, a fatal mismatch between our ancient biology and our new society. In the warm, dark corners of these abundant silos, the grain began to shift, trembling with a new, dark life. Where there is endless food, there is endless multiplication. And from the shadows, an army of rodents rose to claim the harvest. The rodents were merely the vessels, carrying a microscopic passenger of pure biological malice. Deep within the shadows, a tiny parasite waits, the common flea, driven by an endless hunger. But the ancient bacteria is a master of manipulation. It builds a dark, impenetrable wall inside the insect. The creature's stomach becomes completely blocked, leaving it starving, frantic, and driven to madness. In a desperate frenzy, it bites anything warm, pushing the dark, toxic burden into the pulsing veins. Much like a tainted needle pressing against modern skin, the cycle of infection becomes an unstoppable force. Soon, the endless piles of grain fall silent as the host animals grow still, leaving the parasites stranded. A million starving shadows leap towards a new horizon, human warmth. Once inside the human host, the ancient parasite adapted, mutating into a far more devastating form. It bypassed the skin and invaded the very breath of life, turning the lungs into a flooded, dark chamber. In the stifling darkness of a crowded clay hut, a single, rough cough shatters the quiet night. A dark mist hangs invisible in the stagnant air, much like an unseen cloud in a modern, sealed elevator. With no concept of quarantine, the family draws close, offering comfort, entirely unaware they are breathing in their doom. Kindness and love became the ultimate weapons of the plague, as shared warmth guaranteed a shared, inescapable demise. Today, we use breathing machine glass walls, but back then, every shared breath was an immediate execution. And soon, the solitary cough became a deafening chorus across the city. When the invisible tide cannot be stopped by prayer, humanity resorts to its oldest, most primal weapon. A flaming torch arcs through the freezing night, thrown desperately into a home once built with love. Fire was the only cleanser they understood, a desperate attempt to purify the tainted earth. Entire settlements were deliberately set ablaze, sacrificing their greatest achievements to escape the shadows. We see this same primal fear today when men in white suits flood modern streets with chemical fog. We spray our world, hoping to wash away the invisible, just as they burn their world to ash. But the flames could not burn away what was already inside. The darkness was not in the wood or clay. It was already buried deep within the marrow of the survivors. The flames faded into ash, but the dying did not stop, forcing the survivors to abandon their sacred burial rites. Exhausted hands tore at the cold earth, creating a single, massive resting place for their own kin. 38 members of a single family, across 3 generations, laid to rest together, holding each other in the dark. They dug graves for their children, knowing they would soon follow, until the last healthy hands finally grew too weak to dig. We remember these dark logistics of despair today, when cold, metallic trucks line up outside overwhelmed hospitals. The scale of loss shatters our rituals across all eras, reducing the sacred end of life to a matter of desperate storage. But this microscopic killer did not topple the ancient world alone. It was merely the final spark in a world already primed to explode. A catastrophic, perfect storm was gathering on the horizon. The climate itself turned against them, plunging the warm earth into a sudden, bitter cold. The golden wheat withered beneath the frost, and the grand storehouses were rapidly hollowed out. Hunger strips away the thin veil of civilization, awakening a dormant, brutal instinct for survival. Shadows clashed over the last remnants of food, stone weapons striking down neighbors without hesitation. We witness this fragile order breaking today when panicked crowds tear through supermarket aisles. Scarcity transforms neighbors into ruthless competitors, and famine opened the door for the plague to finish its work. The population of a vast continent was cleaved in half, halting the great march of human progress entirely. They were cast into a dark age that would last 3 millennia. For 3,000 years, the once great cities remained silent, reclaimed by the relentless vines and roots of nature. Humanity was scattered, pushed back to a primal existence, fleeing the graves of their own monumental ambitions. But in this profound darkness, a silent battle raged, a war fought not with stone or fire, but within our very blood. The invisible parasite had forced a brutal coevolution, weeding out the weak and leaving only the strongest survivors. Those who emerged from the ashes carried a modified armor, a genetic resilience woven into the modern European and Asian DNA. Our modern immune systems are monuments to their suffering, built upon the silent sacrifice of millions. A resilient nomadic figure steps cautiously into the light, a symbol of life violently pushing through the dark. But as we slowly rebuilt our towering new worlds, a question lingers. Are we repeating the exact same mistakes of our ancient ancestors? We now pack tens of millions of souls into towering concrete silos, breathing the exact same recycled air, shoulder to shoulder. And just like the Neolithic world, the skies are turning dark again as the fragile balance of our climate is pushed past its breaking point. We strip away the wild forests, destroying ancient boundaries, bringing unseen waiting shadows right to our doorstep. Recent years have shown us a terrifying, familiar truth that despite our endless technology, our biology remains fragile. But this story is not merely a warning of inevitable doom. It is a testament to the undeniable resilience of Homo sapiens. We have survived the deepest darkness, carrying the light forward, learning to adapt from the silent ashes of those who fell. Civilization is never a guarantee of immortality. It is a fragile garden, demanding our utmost humility and care.